All right, welcome back. We have another review for you. The spring season is over and done. The summer season is honestly well underway, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to take a look back at some of the hits of the spring 2023 season. This season was a lot more stacked than we could have ever imagined, honestly. I think it is going to be well represented at end of year list seasons. There's a lot of really good stuff to talk about, and there's some less good stuff too, as usual. But I think we got a pretty packed episode for y'all. I think we're going to start with the sequels this time, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the new non-sequel content after that. So
I mean, first off is you, bud. I mean, you.
Oh yeah, well, Tim watched it too. Okay, so to start us off, we have the anime of the season. Wow, it's crazy that we're starting it off so strong. Birdie Wing Golf Girls Story Season 2. What can I say? What more is there to say? It's just peak fiction. That's it. It was so good. I think that all sports anime should be like this show. I think that if all sports anime were this over the top and silly and tongue-in-cheek and campy, then the genre would be a lot more fun. I'm not saying that like it leaning into shonen and those tropes are bad. I think that works well, but like there's just something about Birdie Wing and the ridiculous melodrama and the superpowers, the golf superpowers, that hits in that certain special way. So I cannot recommend this show enough. I had so much fun with it. I don't think it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it was such a blast to watch.
Yeah, episode 1, me and Logan were not impressed, and we're like, all right, we're not watching the show. So
that is not true. Y'all watched all of season 1. What are you talking
about?
Yes.
You make it sound like episode 1 was the problem. It was like episode maybe 10 through 12 of season 1 that was the problem.
Yeah.
It was just episode 1 that's like, we're not course correcting yet, and it's like, okay, the season's too busy. Sorry. And maybe it is peak fiction. I don't know.
They picked a pretty awkward time to split the cores in half. It was in the middle of a bit of a slow section that was a lot less like insane than the first half of the show with all the mafia stuff. I think Logan and Juan picked a really bad time to drop out because the show goes back to being batshit crazy pretty much immediately after they stopped watching it.
2 episode.
So
see, and that's too much time.
But it's okay.
I wanted to be batshit crazy, like from not necessarily from the beginning, but like I wanted to reach that level of rocket launcher out of a car.
It gets back there. It
takes time.
It does that for like 1 episode, Chris. I want to not be like, oh, you should go back and watch it.
Yeah, but then
like
the narrative after that is good, is the thing. So like, I think it was a lot more.
It's good, but I don't think that's what like Juan is looking for.
I'm just saying that I think you can carry it. I don't care what Juan's looking for. I don't care that they dropped it. It's fine. I'm just talking about like for everyone else. I think the show has a lot of merit. It is like telenovela soap opera level silly in the back half, which is great. I love all the family drama stuff that happened. I thought it was insane. And I just think that the overarching story was pretty good and compelling up towards the end. I like the finale a lot as well.
Is the story over?
It's done. Yeah, this is it. It's over.
Wow.
Well, it's an original, so
yeah.
like,
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what do you think, Tim? Are you like as hyped up about it as Chris or not?
I agree with some stuff Chris also like don't. I'm most surprised Chris is so big on the like superpower shouting names out when they make moves.
Best
because
part.
Like I feel like most, if not all, shonen sports shows does that.
Yeah, of course they do.
This is like his like first ever like sports show.
No, it's not. I think that all sports shows should lean into it to the extent that Birdie Wing does.
A lot of shows do. Like Cook in the Basket is the most like mainstream.
Yeah, and that's the other one I've seen. But I think Birdie Wing takes it a step further than Basket because everyone can like perceive the golf superpowers even though they are not.
No, I
happening
think
in real
does
life.
It more. They do in real life, and they also have the opening the gate nonsense. But I mean, the point is like that's not a new like trope. All sports do to some extent, some more than others, but like it's a pretty common thing. I do agree that I think I was generally surprised and impressed at how well Birdie Wing handled itself without having to rely on the weird like mafia gag over the topness. Like that was back for like 1 or 2 episodes, but then it quickly like ran away. But the season still stood really strong on its own with the whole like soap opera drama thing and just like genuine golf competition that was going on. I was impressed with that. I didn't really like the end as much as Chris did. Well, I guess we can talk about spoilers a little bit. I like the whole it starting off with them competing with each other and ending with them competing each other. I think the whole them disqualifying her because she's part of the mafia was just
I agree.
Really lame, and I think the Moon chick had a little too much more emphasis. She just came out of left field in the last like 3 episodes. And
I think she was fine as a final boss character. I agree that them invalidating Eve's win because of the stupid mafia connection was silly.
She was fine as the last boss. There was just too much like emphasis on her. Like every time we went to it, she's talking about the Moon dictates nonsense.
I liked her. I thought she was funny.
But a little too much emphasis. If she was there just to like move the story along, that's fine. But they obviously put more effort into her than she probably deserved. So I think it ended a little. The last bit kind of ended a little bit rough, but overall I was pretty happy with them.
The last arc, at least the last tournament arc, with Aoi's like illness and everything, I thought was handled very well. That was actually genuinely tense and compelling. So I liked that. Anyway,
man, we've been talking about Birdie Wing for a while.
Yes, we have, because it's great. We can move on though. Next up is Dr. Stone Season 3, New World.
All right, Dr. Stone, Ryusei, easily the best character to add to the cast. Holy shit!
You see what I mean?
He really makes this show. Logan, you have more to say since you've actually like read the manga.
I actually have less to say because I didn't watch most of the anime, but
that is true.
Yeah, I remember enjoying this arc from the manga. The only reason I didn't watch the anime was scheduling conflicts, and I watched like half of it, and so it was holding up to the Dr. Stone standard. I think that I remember this one being a solid arc. So
I like this season a lot. It was fun.
Yeah,
I don't know if Dan
I think
has more thoughts.
Yeah, this is just like this was fun.
It was more Dr. Stone, and I think Dr. Stone is great. I think it nails what it's trying to do very well. It's very exciting. They do a great job of maintaining the momentum. I think there was a lot of interesting twists and stakes in this one that like really upped some of the like intensity throughout this season, especially towards the back half. Pretty big cliffhanger as well at the end. So excited to see the conclusion of this arc in the fall.
We did get more science in this season, which I definitely missed from season 2.
Did we though?
Definitely more than season 2. Season 2 had like no science.
I mean, yes, but no. Like, yes, we had more like science happening, more things were built, but they really just glossed over it, considering like how much important science went on. They did all that in like half an episode for like the ship, for example.
They had to cover a lot of in fiction.
It really felt like they were like speed running through the content just to get them like off the island and into like the next arc.
But I did enjoy that because the science is what I like about Dr. Stone, less the shonen part.
Same, which is also why I thought this one was a little more disappointing for me compared to the other 2 seasons.
To me, it just feels the same. I don't think the quality's dipped significantly in any of the seasons.
I just feel like the pacing was just rushing us through out the door as quickly as possible so they can start the next arc, and they just like showed us the science for like 2 seconds just to like justify how they got there. The only time it was kind of interesting was the Y-Man bit, but other than that, everything went by like extremely fast, considering all the science they did.
Maybe
granted, it's like technically only like half the arc, so there's still time. But right now, it's still good, but it's definitely my least favorite of the season so far.
I still think if you're a fan of the show, you'll like it, because clearly I am, and I had fun with it. All right, let's move on to another big one, which is the next season of Gundam.
Yeah, it wouldn't say
season.
It's more like the second core, because it was initially planned to be just a 2-core show.
Yeah, man. This one was wild. I didn't realize that they were going to try to wrap up the entire story in this core. And I think it kind of showed towards the end. At the same time, this season had what I would consider to be some of the best stuff narratively that the whole show had. And then also at the same time, the weakest, because I think the end arc is kind of bad, actually. I don't think it ruins the show by any means. I still think this is a good anime overall that did a lot of good things. But personally, I found the entire conclusion arc rushed and a little silly. It was a little over the top. And didn't quite land for me, I think, the way that it wanted to in a satisfying way. But at least I think that Suleta and Minorine's character arcs came to good conclusions. I think Shadiq got a little shafted, though. Too bad.
But my boy Bob, what was his actual name? Me and Chris called him Bob the entire time.
His name is Jeddirk Ghoul.
I don't think it's pronounced Ghoul. Oh, it's Gwell.
Gwell.
Yeah. That's how his name is. He was awesome. He was easily the best character of the show, at least to me.
Yeah. Grow had a lot of good arcs, especially once he got to Earth. That was like
that arc with him.
That was probably the best part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the general consensus for everyone is that like the show needed more time to breathe and wrap up its story because I think everyone thought the ending was a rush. But Gundam did show us this season like, you know, the peak and highlights of what could have been. Like we saw some really in-depth and, you know, interesting political nonsense with Earth and Spatians, and then we saw peak fighting for 2D mechs, which is always great. You know, there was just a lot of production issues and struggles that probably caused for not to wrap the past it did.
I wish it had another core just because I really had a good time with it. It was a good introduction to Gundam though. And I will probably continue watching the franchise moving forward if it is able to put out like good, interesting, progressive stuff like this that is like developing the genre. I think it's really cool how it ended with Suleta and Minorine. Like they actually got married. That was cool. Women W. This is still a great show, and I would highly recommend it, especially as like a entry point into Gundam, because I think it was pretty accessible for someone that has never, like, literally never watched a Gundam show before.
I've been saying this.
It was always meant to be a standalone, like,
yeah,
built in for Gundam. So
I've been saying this since like halfway through season 1. I wanted a time skip. We got a time skip at the very end of the show, and then they said like, "Oh, and this is it for the story." God, I like Chris said, like I want like another core with the time skip because like there's stuff there. I know there's potential there.
I don't think I think there is a non-zero chance we pick up this timeline and some of these characters in a new season eventually. Like that is something that Gundam could do, but I'm not. It's not like confirmed or anything.
With the anime like literally ending the show with saying like this is the end of Gundam Witch from Mercury. I'm like, man.
But yeah, I also
Gundam also has 3 new projects in the works already.
I also
they do.
doubt it.
Okay.
That's it's not happening. Give up on it.
I mean, it might happen like years down the line.
No, don't.
But like, don't get your hopes up.
Regardless, it is a decently satisfying conclusion, which is saying something for how sloppy the end was. But if you can kind of skirt past that, or maybe you'll like it more than us, I don't know. But it worked out for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is a really small indie anime that aired this season. Let's start. I want to hear from Logan. Logan, how did you find Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Swordsmith Village arc?
Man, that really was 6 episodes of anime. It's just like stretched all the way out to 14 episodes of anime for some godforsaken reason. Like, it was a decent arc. Like when it got going, I especially liked, you know, the last episode of the 17 episodes of the fight between the Mist guy and the Jar guy, which I think was when they actually start fighting. I thought that was actually really good. But it's just like the pacing is so off in this one. You get a ton of padding and also stuff that feels like it was undercooked and like that you didn't need to. You could have used maybe some of that time that you were spending talking about the thing that is that's happening 20 times in a row. You could have used that time to maybe further develop, I don't know, the fight between the pink hair girl and the wood guy, which we only got to see about 15 seconds of. And all of us, by the way, I think were really excited for that fight, and then it just kind of didn't happen.
It didn't happen at all in the entire 50-minute final episode, double wide. It was absolutely insane.
I have always been colder on Demon Slayer than most of the population of the planet Earth, it seems like. But this season was a letdown even from my kind of lowered expectations. So I'm hoping that they are able to pick it up and put something together for next season that's going to be better.
Yeah, this should have been a movie. I cannot believe this was stretched into an entire season. A movie or a 6-episode OVA, I cannot justify the amount of time that was spent. And like Logan said, the content itself was also not very good on average. If you really boil it down, the fights weren't good except for maybe one or two, and that's bad in the anime that I am primarily watching for extremely well made, well produced fights. And that's what I find more compelling in Demon Slayer, because I've never found the writing to be stellar. It's fine. And also why would they advertise Kanroji for as much as she is advertised as this being her season? She is barely in this. Kanroji, the pink-haired girl.
Oh, because it's Konohana, that's why.
I know why. Also, people like her character design, but I thought she'd, much like the previous seasons with Hashira, would be very involved, and we thought she was going to be, and then never really was. The Mist guy got way more time.
I think that's the most involved she is for a while, because I don't think she's up very often next arc. So,
well, there you go.
Maybe this is what's a season.
How do you feel about it, Juan?
I'm easily warmer on this than you guys are, because you two are very mid about it. Now, granted, this was pretty easily pretty weak compared to the rest of the seasons of Kimetsu, but this was still enjoyable for me. I do agree with you guys that this should have been 6 episodes, and I wanted to see more Mitsuri, but that moment where Tanjiro figures out lightning breathing,
that was cool.
That was super fucking cool.
The Demon Slayer nails those moments every time. They're always very good at those types of moments, and that's why I come back to the show, is for stuff like that. But they were few and far between. I would actually go as far as to say I didn't really like this season very much, which is bad. I would like not to say that. I'm trying not to be a hater. I think Demon Slayer's fine for the most part, but I don't know. They got to do better than this.
Also, the Mist guy, he was always super serious, but then once we got his backstory and once he beat the jar guy, he actually got really goofy. And I like that. I like that development.
He was snarking the entire fight, which was awesome, and then he never does that before or really much since. So
well, I mean, he was tired after. Yeah, he was hanging on a thread.
I'm just saying, I wish that we had gotten more of that from the beginning.
Yes.
Okay. I think we should move on. Next up is a classic, a hit.
Wait, we didn't hear from Tim.
Oh, did we? I thought he chimed in. Do you have any more to say?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Do you have any more to say?
Not really.
Okay. So next up is Ousama ranking the treasure chest or something like that. The treasure chest of courage. So this is not season 2 of Ousama. This is a bunch of side stories that happened during season 1, and then also the final episode is basically the first episode of season 2.
It's like a prologue.
So yeah, kind of a prologue. This was a lot of fun. It maintained the incredible level of production quality that Studio Wit brought to the first season as well. Not all of the stories were, I would say, as emotionally impactful as the main show, I think with the exception of the Oken arc, where we got a lot more context into that than the original anime gave us. But I still had a great time with this. There were still plenty of moments that were on par with a average episode of Ousama ranking. I still love this cast of characters and the sense of whimsy that the show has, and like the just sort of dark, goofy tone. It was good. It wasn't as good as the main show, but it was good. I had a good time.
Yeah, the problem with talking about Treasure Box is that it feels like, at least in my head, it's sort of competing for resources and time and so forth with season 2, and it probably wasn't, but like it has to justify its existence beyond like just continuing, this, or what's it called? It has to justify its existence ahead of something that like continues the story. And I think that a couple of the stories do that. Like you mentioned, the Oaken episodes are really, really good. And I also like the story with healing. The arm wrestling one was hilarious. But there was some stuff, especially towards the beginning, that I think were just kind of like, I didn't really need to see, that, like, remember the one where they were like training and he was going out into the woods with the mushrooms or whatever, and I don't know, that one
legitimately I don't
fine.
remember that.
It was a long time ago when we watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was for like the pie or something.
Yeah,
they were trying to
actually,
like make
I kind of
a
like
pie
that
or
episode.
something.
That was fun.
I don't know, that felt like a little too
With
much
Kage.
like a
Kage
folk
got Tom
story.
Sawyer. That was it was kind of
Yeah.
funny. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, there was some good stuff in here. Maybe, I don't know, I just personally kind of wish it was like half as long or something. But that's just me. This isn't like a bad thing to watch,
Yeah, I agree with Logan a lot there. Like this could have been a 3-episode OVA, just the 2 episodes with Oaken and then the prologue. Like that could have been it. I would have been fine. Like a lot of these stories, like it makes sense why these were cut from the main story. Like a lot of them were just like either like fun or like just didn't really add much to the overall story. Like the anime like really like streamlined it.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting that this got even got made in the first place. I don't like. I'm not really sure what the logic was, but I don't know. I had fun with it.
Yeah,
I'm not
I don't know why they were like, oh, let's release some Ousama ranking DLC.
Yeah, but
yeah, that really what this is. Like just watch episodes 4, 5, and 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have to necessarily watch it. Make sure that you watch the, like Juan said, the Oaken arc, the full Oaken arc, where you get that full backstory, because it also ties into the end of it, which is basically the beginning of season 2. Tim?
I mean, you guys complain a lot, but like, it was pretty upfront that this was all side story content, and it delivered. And
I agree.
It is what it is.
I liked it. I think I liked it more than both.
I think
Logan.
we should be all upsetty about like, oh, the side story content is all about side story stuff. Wow, I'm like shocked.
I mean,
I just don't think it should have been 10 episodes. It should have been like 3.
Yeah, like they told me in advance that it was a side story, but they still didn't have to make a bunch of side stories. Nobody was clamoring for that, as far as I know.
I really liked the cool like painterly art style ones that we had at the very end. Those were cool.
The one
with Boss's
boss?
Boss's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't blame someone for skipping this, but it was fun. I would rather have season 2 though, which I'm sure we'll get eventually.
It's already confirmed.
Yeah.
No, it's not confirmed. The movie's confirmed.
There's a movie first.
No season 2.
Oh, okay.
All right. Next up is Tonikaku Kawaii season 2, which I think only Tim watched all of.
I mean, I was supposed to watch it, but like I
to.
ran out of time. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, we were pretty stacked this season.
But tell me about it, Tim, because Tonikaku Kawaii was one of my favorite shows from 2021. The one it came out, or 2020?
I want to say 2020, yeah.
Wow, it took 3 years for season 2.
Crazy. But yeah, Konosuba's second season. On one hand, it's a lot of the same stuff. It's more like wholesome romance between the main two guys. But you can definitely see the show trying to do a lot more than that in the background. Like, we got introduced to a bunch of new characters. I think we got like 3 to 5 new characters. There was a lot of more hinting at like the backstory and lore behind like Tsubasa and like her grandma and whatnot.
We still don't know the whole story yet.
I mean, you can kind of guess.
I mean, you can guess from like halfway through season 1.
Yeah, and you can basically guess still now, but there's nothing's like confirmed. But
wow, that's crazy.
It's obviously making a lot more effort at like teasing and bringing that stuff up to light. So you can see trying to do more, but it's cool. It's still like two people having a nice married life as season 1. It is fun though watching people who have like literally never dated before try to act like a married couple, and you get this kind of like awkward situations where they're like, "How do we bathe together?" kind of situation. It's cute. It's fun. Definitely check it out if you enjoyed season 1 at all.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch it sometime.
All right, and honestly, best for last, probably the most, or one of the biggest shows of the year so far. Finally wrapped up. It started in the winter and is now done, which is Vinland Saga Season 2, which covered the full Farmland Saga arc. How did we like this one, fellas?
They were not joking when they said Farmland Saga was peak. God. This season, like, it's Thorfinn processing the trauma that he went through as a kid, and he's processing it while working as a slave on a farm. Like that, I don't know how you can come up with that, but like, fuck, damn, he has a lot of trauma.
Everyone does.
Yeah, but like Thorfinn especially.
Thorfinn's the one we get to see the scary nightmares of. So.
Yeah, but like he becomes a better person because of it. Like he like learns and grows from it. He becomes best friends with what's his name?
Einar,
best bro of the year. Goddamn. What a legend that guy is. And then we also see Canute, like how he developed from season 1, and they went in complete opposite directions, and I love it. I'm here for it. I love season 2 Canute. Holy shit, this man is kind of like an anti-hero now. It's really cool. And then of course the "I have no enemies" line, iconic, absolutely iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Every man should aspire to be like Thorfinn.
Yeah, that was the line from season 1, if you remember.
I mean, yes, that's what his dad said to him, like, as a kid. And like that was like in what, like episode 1 or 2?
Yeah.
So like for him to like finally like process what he meant by that and like accepting it, he's like, it's so cool. It's so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty incredible narrative to have season 1 be so violent and just kind of be about the unnecessary cruelty that this era really involved, and what the Vikings did and all the war and death and the glorification of it too, which is kind of just culturally ingrained, and then have season 2 pivot so far away from that and away from violence. And like, even you as an audience, you kind of are cheering for Thorfinn. You kind of want him to get into fights, because there are several times throughout the season where Thorfinn very easily could have kicked some people's asses that deserved it, like completely justifiably, like beat them up or killed them like he used to, and he never does. With like he gets in a fight like once, but it's not that bad, and he really sticks to his convictions, especially as the season goes on, and that I just think that's unique. I think it's trying to tell a very unique and special story, and it's been, I don't know, it's so well told and it's so well directed. It's got some of the same production issues season 1 had, though I think it's smoother on average, and I think they really know when to like let the production shine. So I think on average it looks better than season 1. Yeah, I don't know what to say. There were many episodes throughout both, or like throughout the entire 24 episodes, where I was like genuinely speechless because of how good it was, which I think happened less in season 1. I would say this season is like significantly better than the first season, and that is saying a lot because season 1 is also excellent.
There was that one episode where it was like the backstory of the husband and wife. I forget their names. That entire episode was like so fucking beautiful. And then there was that one episode where the slave owner, like how he was like just slowly losing his mind.
Yeah.
And like I remember at the end of the episode, I'm like, bro, this episode sucked. And you were like, what? It didn't suck. What are you talking about? I'm like, no. Emotionally, it sucked.
There were many episodes like that were just hard to get through because of how brutal they were. And season 1 was kind of like that too, but I think
this one was like on average, it had like way more.
Yeah. So be prepared to experience heavy stuff, but it is well worth it. I think that this is a standout front runner for anime of the year so far. It was excellent. I think Tim hasn't said as much on this one yet, so go for it, because I know you like this too.
Um, yeah, Vinland. Everything good, like everything raw and like compelling about the Vinland has a lot to do with obviously with the source material, and I actually think, and it carries the show a lot. It's a lot of reason why I gave like season 1 a 9. I probably would give this one a 9, despite like all the production issues. It's just how well the author writes his character, and I actually think that this is one of the rare cases where I think like the anime detours away. I think from the manga, I actually think it's better off in its original format than how they try to adapt it. Just because they're all like minor differences and changes that they do that bothers me. I brought it up with Chris before once.
Yeah.
Um, but ultimately, like this show is heavily carried by its source material, and I really enjoyed watching the growth of Thorfinn and seeing all the characters that were introduced to help Thorfinn grows as a character. I also don't know. Maybe Chris is a psychopath, but I was never rooting for Thorfinn to go out and stab people in season 2.
I kind of was
Dude,
every once
when
in a while.
when the guys ruined their farm, I got so
Dude,
mad.
I was pissed.
It was all like you're supposed to be. They'd worked on it. It was what they had been working on the entire
They're supposed to be
season.
mad at them, but I was never like Thorfinn should go like shank the guy.
I don't think he should have killed them, but I think
He should have like
he
beat
should
them
have
up.
beat him up. Yeah, it's that feels good in the moment. But I think that's also part of what the story is trying to get you to do. It's trying to get you to confront your own, like, why should you be cheering for violence like that? You know what I mean? And I think that is the mark of a good
That is the reason
show.
why it's there. And the mark of the good writing of how everything is purposely intentionally created to like have Thorfinn like confront himself and change. That's basically what this entire season was. And I think it was phenomenally well written. And I really enjoyed it for sure.
Logan, did you ever get around to watching the last couple episodes or no?
Unfortunately, also due to scheduling issues, I couldn't watch the end of this one. Unlike Dr. Stone, I'm definitely going back to it because it was my favorite arc in the manga, and it's a really, really good arc. And I'm excited to see how it ends, especially knowing that like the production held it together the whole time. Because that season 1, there's a particular shot of Thorfinn like kind of throwing a tantrum in the snow, but he's like low res Thorfinn from a distance, and they linger on it for like 30 seconds, and it just that lives in my brain completely rent free, and I'm glad that nothing of that caliber happens in this season.
There's never anything. It never gets close to that. There's some shots that are like slightly off model or maybe aren't as well like composed, but they really are able. Like every single time it matters or isn't emotionally impactful, they focus in and it looks good. So
right.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm excited to revisit this, the ending of this one, but I didn't get to see the ending, so I have less to say about it.
In particular, the last episode or the second to last episode was phenomenal. Great conclusion.
Yeah, the Canute confrontation.
Standoff. Yeah,
it's so good. Oh god, it's so good.
It was peak. All right, that's it for sequels. We're gonna move on to the new shows, new stuff. The first up on the list.
We got a bit of a 10 power hour here.
A little bit. I've seen some of the first one, but okay. I'm going to probably finish this weekend, so I've only seen a little under half of it, so I won't have as much to say.
And the show is
Boku no Kokoro no Yabai Yatsu, or The Dangers in My Heart, which to me, I think it's good that I've seen enough of it because this was such a surprise to me. Because of the way it started, I did not think it was like, I thought it was cute, but maybe not that special. And I was always wowed by the like insanely high score it has on Mal. And then I got to episode 2 or 3, I can't remember. And then I got it. There's this particular scene where I think it really clicks like what the show is doing and why it's so special. And
which scene was that?
It's where he realizes he likes her.
Under the bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just incredibly it's a little hard to describe. It's a stellar production, first of all. They're really animating out the ass, and then there is just something so compelling about these two like characters that are weird in their own way. The boy is very like obviously shy. He's got this weird complex going on about like he's a bit of a freak, but he keeps it to himself, so it's all in his head, and he likes to play out these like the fantasies or whatever. But in reality, he's pretty normal and grounded, and she, the girl, is actually the real freak because she's more uninhibited about it. It's a fun dynamic.
I think he's still more the bigger freak.
Maybe so. I don't know. Tim can do a better job. I need to watch more of it, but it's a little difficult to nail down why this is so good. But I've quite enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I think Chris kind of nailed the charm of it. Like there's a lot of really cute moments between the two, accompanied by like a lot of gorgeous like kino scenes to kind of like nail it in. But the process to get there was like kind of problematic. Like there's a golden like sweet spot that the show hits between like episode like 4 to like 9, which is the majority of the show, luckily. But like there's a lot of like kind of like icky things in between that got in my way. Like Chris was talking about how they're both freaks, and like the girl being like a huge foodie and like not knowing, just I don't know, watching too many American shows and eating too much is one thing. But like the guy having the whole like I want to be an edgelord serial killer, kill all my classmate thing was like not really necessary and kind of weird.
Yeah, it gets dropped.
Like it really put me off in the first episode too, and I'm glad they
doesn't
dropped
really
it.
come up.
But like the fact they even had in the first place was like it really didn't need to be there. And there's also like the Three Stooges in the beginning, the classmates who like were making things incredibly like awkward and uncomfortable and inappropriate around them in the first couple episodes. Luckily, that goes away like after the first like 3 episodes. Like I said, after like the first 4 episodes, it gets to the like the honeypot speed when everything's like great, and they're both like awkwardly trying to like stumble through their feelings for each other, and it's very cute and sweet. But before that, it was just really like uncomfortable and weird. And after that, once they kind of get more into like, oh, I know, like I like you, like each other, and they're more aggressive, it gets kind of like not less cute and more like awkward and a little bit cringe, but also a little bit cute. But like I think they had a sweet spot in a while, and then they kind of like left from it. But ultimately, the majority of the show is really cute, and it is just like seeing these like 2 middle schoolers just like stumble between their feelings and how they feel for each other, and just like is great. And the production values really like emphasize that moments. Like the under the bed scene is really cute, but Chris, there'll be a scene in the library that's also just like pure kino, and I think you enjoyed that a lot too. So I look forward to seeing your reaction to that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moments like that where it's kind of like them being super like cute, not really sure how to feel about each other. And I think that's where the show really like peaks.
All right. Let's move on then. There's actually a lot of good romance this season. We're going to get to some of the other ones. Okay, the next 2 I want to go through kind of quickly because I think it was just Tim that watched them. And
well, you were supposed to watch these.
Me and Logan were supposed to watch Dead Mountain Death Play, but me and Logan watching shows alone together never works out. So, oh well. That is the next one on our list, though, is Dead Mountain Death Play.
You think Bakuna would have like convinced you guys to watch it?
It wasn't that immediately gripping in episode 1. It was cool, but I don't know.
So this whole like half, I guess it's a 2-parter, feels a lot like a giant like prologue chapter 1 build up, because there's a lot about this show that we really don't know about, and the show kind of hinges on this kind of giant mystery thing. Like we have these, we have the whole, Death Lord reincarnates, and he, meets a bunch of people, and now we have to figure out this, mysterious symbol, what it means, and where like everyone's like allegiance and faction kind of lies with each other, and everyone's kind of like unknown, and it's kind of building up to this like big field where all these like people and faction kind of clash. But for right now, it's just like a lot of like unknowns and what if. It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it properly. It's like no one's really properly fleshed out except for the main character, because it's the main character, but everyone else is like, we don't know much about them. We don't know whose sides they're on. We don't know what their goal is and whatnot, or who they sides with. And it's less, and that's kind of the same with like, I think the main difference between this show and like shows like his other shows like Duro and Bakino is that it wasn't really like a very like heavy at stake shows. Like Duro did get kind of intense at the end, but it wasn't until the end that it kind of happened. Before then, it was kind of like, oh, here's these kind of gangs, and it was kind of super more like chill, fun vibe. And Bakano was just like all fun all the way, despite the serial killer. But this one's like it's an actively like more mysterious, intense show, and we don't really. It's much more slow burning and like revealing what's going on. So it's nowhere near the levels of Bakano, but there's still part two, so that could
True.
quickly like explode into like because there is a lot of like really fun and larger than life characters. Like if you think Death Guard is like the biggest outrageous character there is, he's really not. Like every other character you meet is actually even more outrageous than he is. So there's a lot of potential for fun and good clashes. It's really just not there yet.
When you said like this entire season felt like a chapter 1, I'm like, fuck, bro, fuck
really,
that.
It's a chapter 1 in the sense that like there hasn't been a big like shift. It's all like we're just still slowly meeting people, and we kind of have like a small confrontation here and there, but we're just really starting to get into the meat of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't convince me to watch it. Like
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if me and Logan are going to come back to it, but oh well.
I think you two is just because I know you guys are big Bakano fans.
Okay.
And you can see the hints and trace of it. The main difference between this and his other shows is that they will just like instantly like having a fun vibe from the get go.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is more serious.
And this one's a more like serious vibe. So like there's less to enjoy in the meantime for the payoff.
Next up is Jigokuraku, a show that we all watched. Juan, you want to talk about this one for a little bit?
Sure. I was extremely hyped going into the show. Like, I remember hearing that it was like one of the biggest shonen out right now, alongside Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. Like, they were considered like the dark trio, and yeah, it's definitely like dark. It's definitely like not necessarily like violent, but like it's definitely like darker compared to like other like shonen. And like I guess because of those expectations, like I didn't really enjoy it as much. It's still good. It's still really good. But like, I don't know. I guess comparing it to Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, it didn't really reach that level to me. But this was still really cool. Like the Gabimaru being probably one of the coolest protagonists ever, because like he's like almost invincible, and like just seeing him fight is really interesting. I like that. But like it's weird that they introduced like the power system really late into the show. Like I think like episode 8 or 9, they're like, oh hey, here's the power system, and I'm like, oh okay, cool. Thanks for finally introducing it to us.
I'm sure it makes more sense in the manga where there isn't like a core splitting him in half, because we're getting a season 2 pretty soon. So
yeah. I'm sure you guys probably felt like a little stronger on it since you didn't have like the expectations that I did.
Yeah, but definitely not.
But I'm still gonna watch season 2. I'm still like, this was still like a fun show to watch.
Yeah. How about you, Logan?
So I like this one quite a bit. I actually kind of like that they didn't really introduce Tao until late into the game, because for a long time it just felt like the heroes were always on the back foot trying to fight against anything. Because they didn't know how Tao worked, they didn't know how to kill these big monsters. And I think that was kind of an interesting dynamic that you don't see a lot in shonen, where the main characters are just losing for like a big long streak in a row, or at least they're on the back foot for a very long time. And I thought that was cool, and I think the visual design of this show is really, really nice. The environments are vibrant and very unique looking, and the fights are nice looking. Solid cast of characters. Like, this is not as good as Jujutsu Kaisen, but that's a very high bar to clear. And I think this was quite good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know where Juan got his overhype. I don't know what TikTok videos were lying to him, but I never got the impression that it was supposed to be on the level of like the big hitters, and I don't think its popularity is representative of that either. But I still think that this was really cool. I like Logan. I think this show's best at its world building and character, or visual design. I think it's very unique and interesting. And that was like always interesting to see how the different monster designs looked or how the world interacted with the characters. I think the introduction of the villains was really interesting. They are quite unique villains that have an interesting backstory and an interesting presentation. And they're also immediately very powerful and threatening. And then also become, just because of how fast the power scaling just changes on a dime as all the characters kind of figure out how to use Tao and suddenly are closer to on the level, it creates some interesting shifts back and forth. I think a less competent manga / anime would have probably lost me at how fast the characters' power scale, but I think it actually kind of works pretty well. Like everyone is kind of justified in fiction as to why they are able to pick it up so fast. And it also means that no one gets left behind in like a pathetic way, which I was a little afraid was going to happen with Sigiri, but it didn't. So props to them. This was cool. This was neat, and I'm excited to watch season 2. That's about where I'm at. Fun time. Pretty high recommend for this season.
I think I'm a little bit colder on this than the rest of you guys.
Like me, or like on my level?
Like you, maybe a little bit less. Like I think it was interesting. The main allure for me by the series was just like the mystery of this like island and the monsters and what's going on. And that quickly got explained this season. So like my main interest quickly like ran away. The characters, I do like the characters, even though it does suffer from like Demon Slayer syndrome, where like they try to make you get emotionally attached to the character by giving you a flashback like right before they die, which is, in my opinion, a little bit of poor writing. But I guess they have to in the show where they have to kill 3 people every episode.
No, this is the beginning part.
Yeah, but like, I wish they kind of spent more in the now and building in the relationship rather than here's a tragic backstory like Demon Slayer does. But like, Demon Slayer I expect because it's like the main appeal is the fights and not like the characters. But for this show, I want a little bit more than that. I also think it was kind of lame that they went with the whole amnesia trope and conveniently reset the main character right before.
We'll see how that.
Happened.
I'm not going to comment on that yet because it was a very in-game stinger, and it's going to be like resolved, and like the implications of it will be felt in the next season. So, whatever. Like we'll see. I could see that being dumb, but if it's dumb, I'll fault season 2 more so than season 1.
My thing is like, I don't really know why I watch the show in particular. Like, there's no. I guess the stake is them surviving, but like,
yeah, at this point it's just them surviving and getting off the island.
Surviving.
I think it might actually be to kill all the Tencent or whatever at this point.
But like,
because it's personal.
Yeah, the most interesting, unique thing about it was the island and its mystery, and that's gone. So now, like,
I don't think it's all the way gone. I think there's still more that we haven't found out.
There might be more, but the majority of like what this island is and what the like the Fountain of Youth, whatever the thing is called or whatever, is kind of gone. That all gets explained like in 2 episodes, and now I'm kind of like, oh well. Ultimately, I don't know. It's just compared to the rest of the shonen shows, like it doesn't have like fantastic like. I mean, it does have cool fights, but it's not like Demon Slayer fights. I mean, it's an interesting shonen and it's good, but there's nothing about it screams to me like phenomenal.
I still think it's cool. I think it's cool and worth watching and unique. And I care about uniqueness a lot in anime. And I think this has a very original style and sense of design. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. Your mileage may vary, I guess, but I think that it is pretty well regarded for a good reason. And I'm excited for season 2. Okay, next up is another good one. Kimi wa Houkago Insomnia, or Insomniacs After School.
They did not believe me when I said this is going to be a good romance from like episode 1, because like the pacing was really slow.
I
think you did.
No, I didn't ever say that.
Yeah, you're like, this show's like all right, and I'm like, no, this is going to be a really good romance. I know it.
I said it was a good romance from the get go.
I feel it. I felt it in I believed in the heart of the cards.
I'll give it to you. Sure, you were right. Does that make you feel better?
Yes, that's all I wanted.
Okay, thank you. You got it.
This is probably the best romance I've seen since Skigakire. Because holy shit, this does a high school romance so fucking well. Like, Chris will tell you how hard I cheered when they finally, spoilers, I guess, when they kissed. Holy shit, I popped off so hard. Because it was an absolute surprise. Like, it wasn't even like the finale. Like, it was like episode like 10 or 11 or something. And it caught the main character off guard. It caught me off guard. Oh, that was so cool. It makes me want to read the manga so bad. And like, it's supposed to be finished soon. So I think I'll go read it like once it's actually done and like make a full judgment on it. But like as of like right now, highly recommend this for like any like romance heads.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the best high school, like pure high school romances I've ever seen in my entire life. I think that this portrays a level of intimacy, not like sex, but like actual physical intimacy that is rarely seen, and it's so well crafted, and the moments between them when they're like getting close are very well done, and it is very emotional, very romantic. You can really feel it. Also, these are excellently written characters. It really dodges the like dying of XYZ terminal disease trope in a way that I thought that it was going to get bogged down by, but it doesn't actually, which is good because that trope can get really tiring really fast.
It really wasn't even mentioned that much. It was kind of like
no, which is good.
on the side.
Like
yeah,
they
which I
use
think
it,
is yeah.
They use it to build her character and not make her entire character revolve around the tragedy of whatever is happening. Because we don't get the details. We don't know how bad it is. We don't know what the timeline is. It doesn't matter. It's not what's important.
To justify why she is, but it doesn't, control her.
Yes,
which is great. That's good writing.
Yeah, which is how it should be, and how they all should be, instead of every other show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really rare we get like a super like grounded, realistic romance show that doesn't have like random unnecessary drama like thrown into it. So this is like a really rare treat, and I enjoyed it a lot, watching these like kind of like two awkward teenagers falling in love in a very like natural and authentic way, slowly opening up to each other.
And not to mention, there was some excellent cinematography and shot composition of the stars. If you liked astronomy, like, I wouldn't say it's the main focus of this show. It's definitely their relationship and their romance, but there are some very pretty shots of the stars in the sky. So if you like that as well, that was also great. It looks very good.
The show's good. Please watch it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites of the season. I would say it would be a strong anime of the year contender as well.
This would have been anime of the season for me, if not for a certain other show that.
There's a couple. This season's pretty stacked.
Yeah.
This is easily my number 2.
So I loved this. I think all three of us loved this. Logan even liked some of the manga when he read it, which is rare.
Maybe this show will be the one that gets him into romance. Who knows?
No shot.
No way.
Not in a million years.
Good show, watch. Okay, all right. Next up, Konosubarashi Sekai ni Bakuen wo. How did we feel about this show, everyone?
This show was okay.
Definitely not Konosuba season 3. It was. I don't know. Yeah, we all.
My official review of this that I put up on Mal was this was better than my worst fears. But a previous review, a much meaner review that I was going to leave for it was I got worried I didn't like Konosuba about halfway through this.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a long time since I've seen Konosuba. What if it was all like this and I just didn't know?
At its peak, it was like very reminiscent of like how OG Konosuba was, but like at its like lowest, it reminded me of like
generic
season 2 like Konosuba, of like how bad it could get.
Season 2 of Konosuba wasn't bad.
There are some awkward episodes and jokes.
There was some awkward. I think the slime and the slime episode stuff. It's like at the end, it got kind of like rough, and I think particularly because they took place in the same like location.
They should never go back to that town for the rest of the franchise.
Granted, there was a lot more like mid sections and there were like promising sections, But also on one hand, like a lot of people say, like Konosuba is all about the dynamic of the main 4 cast members. So, I could give it a little bit of props to go as far as it did with just Megami.
Yeah, for sure.
Megami and Union at least. Like it's like their dynamic.
I think the show was at its finest when they were still in the village, and as soon as they parted that,
it tanks
kind
very
of
badly.
lost
I have that in my notes. How the school arc was actually kind of the best part of the show.
The last couple episodes were okay too. Just
they were very fan servicey, but they were cute.
Yeah. It was cute to see how it tied into like beginning the first season. That was kind of nice. It was just that whole like middle section was just really
the church arc was actively bad.
I wanted to shoot myself in the head. It was
just
some of the worst shows
that
I watched in
should just
this
be
year.
like wiped out from canon. That should.
So if you're a huge Megami fan, watch it. You'll have fun, and there are genuinely some gags and episodes that are Konosuba tier funny and work out. But
I think people would enjoy it a lot if they just watch the village arc and then the beginning
and then
town
skip to the end. Yeah, you can
just
literally
skip the middle.
Skip like 3 or 4 episodes in the middle, and you will miss nothing. I promise.
I think that show will be extremely enjoyable if they just did that.
There's one other
parts
thing.
Were fine.
Yeah.
There's one other thing about the show that actually was good. Studio Drive. They're the ones picking up the show from the previous studio. I can't remember who they were.
They're doing season 3 as well.
Yeah, so and they prove that they can keep the animation.
They can hang.
Yeah, the production value was good. It's just I don't know how much of the writing was from the source material, how much was
I'm sure most of it.
I only read the first volume of the light novel, so that was still.
I think the original author wrote it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based off of the spin-off light novel. I read the first volume, but I haven't read the rest of it, so I don't know if the rest of the light novel was really that bad or if it was just.
I think it was. Tim,
it might have been. Anyway,
one last thing about it: the ED. The
ED's peak. It's one of the best of the season. For sure.
It might be absolutely a contender for ED of the year because holy shit, it's the animation style of it is so cool.
It's great.
It's a fun ED. Yeah.
All right. Next up is a crazy one. Okay, now we get to talk about Mahou Shoujo Magical Destroyers. Dude, this was a fucking television anime that we all watched. Man, this one's gonna be difficult to break down. I would have a hard time recommending this show to most people. It is insane and disjointed and a little off-putting in a lot of ways. It really just is balls to the wall the entire way, and they just kind of throw ideas and see what sticks, and not all of them land. A lot of them are not very good. It's kind of clunky the whole time.
Yeah. The animation goes hard throughout the entire series. I have to give them props for that. But it is an incredibly clunky mess to strive.
A lot of the jokes don't land. It's a little repetitive with what it's trying to say and do. It's
especially in those last 3 episodes.
Yes, it's very obsessed with the idea of being an otaku. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, the ending convinced these 3 that it was actually a decent show, but
yes,
I don't think it's worth sifting through 11 episodes of a clunky mess to reach a somewhat mediocre.
I don't think that's fair because I think there were good episodes.
I don't think that's fair.
There were some good episodes in there. There were some bad ones as well.
Yes, unfortunately.
The
problem with this is that it has to be a cohesive thing. This is an anime from 1 to 12. You can't be episode 3 was fine, but the rest of it made no sense, and episode 12 was good.
I think it was.
There's more than 6 episodes that were bad. Sorry.
And also, it's not like it's not cohesive. It does have a narrative. It does have a story it's trying to tell. There was reveals at the end about what was happening the whole time. It's just, was it all great? Just like I said, this is an execution thing. They had an idea, they produced the idea, and they went absolutely batshit with it, and not all of it worked. A lot of the execution was not very good. There's a lot of like visual clunk where the animation is very janky and off model and bad at times. This show at the same time actually has some of my favorite cinematography and direction of the entire season. Like this has like some of the best still images and like single shots that I've seen this year come from this show. There is a really cool sense of visual flair in this show.
I'm not refuting the production values at all. I think you give it more credit for the story than it actually does.
I think most of the story is goofy and stupid, but like I can hang with goofy and stupid, and a lot of the gags work in some sections. A lot of them are fine. Some of the episodes are really funny. Like, I don't know. And like I said, I was worried that this wasn't going to go anywhere and it was going to peter off and like be a wet fart and not be very funny or interesting. But I think, like I said, I really liked the last 2 episodes. I think that they were interesting and they did a good job of.
You like the whole Cube thing and the whole, like, this is all
genuinely,
simulated world.
Yes, I think that was an interesting way to
how
to end
the
it.
magical girls just became like zombies at the end.
It's subversive. It's like it's very intense and extreme and like unexpected, and it doesn't end happy. And I think but it does end in a way that like is trying to make a statement thematically that is reinforced by the entire rest of the show. So
I think it ending not happy and having like a hopeful symbols at the end is fine. I just think how they got there, even the last 3 episodes, was just clunky.
I gotta give props to any show that actually has the balls to like actually kill off the main character. Like we always make that joke. It is a running joke within our group to like say like, oh, it really was brave of them to kill the character.
I don't think we need the whole world to be a simulation.
The whole world wasn't a simulation, was it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yes,
the whole world is a simulation. Yes, it doesn't.
I don't think
doesn't really
we
matter.
needed the whole magical Cube thing.
Oh, dude,
thing.
I thought that was one of the best twists of the entire show. Was finding out that the gag character was God.
There was a purpose to it. It was just, it was just. Even at the end, it felt like it was just throwing stuff at the walls. And even though I think it's cool in Kino that they like killed the main character, and it was like, oh, there's still like the flag resistance at the end. I think that's totally fine. It's just to get there, and what the means they used to get there just has to be justified. I didn't feel like they justified it at all. It still felt like they were still throwing random stuff on the wall and making it stick.
I mean, like, we're praising it, sure, but like overall, like, I'm pretty sure me and Chris are gonna give this like a 7 or 8.
I gave it a 7. Yeah. Like I said,
7 is still a good score.
I agree. No, and I think it deserves it. I think 7's the sweet spot. Like I said,
now granted, it shouldn't be like 5.6 like it is on Mel right now.
It's 6.3.
It's 5.
It's 6.38 on Mel.
Oh, it is? Okay, it got higher. That's good.
Yeah. I think, like I said, this is a show that is virtually impossible to recommend to someone who is like into normal anime. I think you have to like off-kilter and weird and experimental productions to want to like watch this show. But
this anime is very much like an anime for anime fans.
I am
like,
that kind of person.
Deep into anime.
I am that kind of person. Yeah, it's jerking off being an anime fan a little bit and just being a fan of stuff in general. And honestly, that part of it got a little annoying to me at times because like I don't care. I don't need otaku to tell me how cool otaku are. That's fine. I don't know. Like I said, doesn't execute everything perfectly. It is still fun to watch the entire time. It is crazy and like there is some batshit wacko stuff that will happen at least once an episode. And there's always something interesting to look at. So I would rather have shows like this than shows that are boring and lose my interest entirely because they're bland, like Mashle, which is next.
Hey, speaking of Mashle,
wait. The OP and ED of this show,
probably
absolutely
my
insane
of the year.
100% contenders
I
of the year.
feel bad for whatever was going to win OP of the year before this came along.
We still have 6 months, so I mean, like, there's
something
a
can come up.
Yeah, but dude, especially the OP. I love both, but especially the OP of this one is fucking phenomenal. I think
really like
the OP
ED.
and ED literally make this show feel better than it is, and to some extent, at least it did at the beginning. I was like convinced this was going to be like anime of the year when I saw this OP. I was like, holy shit. And it definitely didn't get there, but oh well.
Oh yeah, the storyboard previews.
Also very cute.
I thought that was really cool, and how that actually like came into the plot.
It tied in at the end.
Yeah. I like the plot was a nice little twist.
Okay. Next up is Mashle. I think Juan should talk about it first before we be mean to it.
I hate Chris and Logan. I hate them both. I hate them so fucking much. Waiting for the last possible moment.
Here, y'all get to watch me do this live because I haven't done it on my Mal yet. I just changed from watching to dropped. Anyway, continue.
I hate you. I hate you so much. They wait until the last possible minute to tell me that they drop it. Okay, sure. It was easily like the weakest show that we were watching as a group. I mean, me personally, I think it was Ousama ranking. But
that's insane that you think this is better than Ousama ranking. You're smoking crack.
This show is
Ousama
fun.
ranking had two
It's
great
fun.
episodes,
It's stupid.
The production
This
values
show-
Ousama ranking alone make it better.
This show peaks when it's a comedy.
Yes,
Like,
that's
in
what
the
I was
first
gonna
It's
get
really
to.
funny.
There's always in the first half. There's always like one gag every episode that usually like gets me like a chuckle. But like then it starts becoming a comedy. It becomes like a action shonen show.
That's what I was gonna say. The shonen aspect of
that's
it
when
like
it
kind of
loses me.
sucks. Like
This
I
show
wanted to be
should-
more gags.
Yeah, this show should be a comedy and stay a comedy. It should has no right being a shonen because it loses everything. That's interesting
It doesn't
and
have
unique
the
about
writing
it.
chops. The characters are boring, and I don't care about any of them. It like
I still want to like at least finish a show and like give like a proper review. But fuck you guys.
I should have
Sorry.
dropped
I
it 3
finished it.
episodes before.
I was done with it.
Yeah, I was pretty
I
much
had
coasting.
seen everything I needed to see.
I'll be honest. Go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead.
I didn't really love this manga when I read it like 2 years ago. And I thought it was okay. It was a little disappointing because the premise is so good. That the execution was kind of mid and it wasn't very funny. And I was like, oh, maybe the anime will do better. And because a lot of people like it a lot of people are fans of it. And so I was like, surely there is something here for me. And it's the same issue with all these types of shows. There is one joke and they keep telling it over and over again. And it is funny sometimes in its execution. But like, if you're not literally writing One Punch Man, I don't know. I have trouble with people going in premises like this that are repetitive. You really got to do something with it. And One Punch Man does that much better than this does. This is extremely one note. And again, it's just not very funny. Like the jokes and comedy are not very good.
Chris, you didn't think it was funny when they based the entire personality of the main character around cream puffs?
Don't worry about that part.
You're telling me that didn't work for you?
Yeah. It's a surprise for all of us.
I don't think One Punch Man is a good
comparison
to make because One Punch
It's
Man
a better comparison is
more of an action.
the
Sakamoto?
Yeah, Takamoto.
I would say the most comparison, the closest comparison I would say to this one is to do Psyche K, which is also like there's a lot of the same tropes in there, but it stays like a comedy. It's a comedy. It stays a comedy, and they're like 5 minutes. Like they're like it's a full episode length, but they do like 5 minute skits every time. So they do a comedy gag, and it like doesn't overstay its welcome and move on. And that's the closest thing I could like compare this to.
I could say that.
It's actually a good comedy.
I just wish Chris and Logan didn't wait until the last possible minute to tell me that they dropped it.
We should be
You
more
don't have
honest with
time
my
to finish it
feelings.
anyway.
Be honest, please. just
Because
if
I
you're
was
feeling
pretty
it,
cold on it a lot to and I was just kind of going
To
along
be
with
fair,
it.
Chris was saying he was feeling cold about it like super early on.
It's okay.
be more clear about it, please.
Hey,
That's
hold on.
fine.
To be fair, I asked you guys if you wanted me to drop it.
You did,
'cause I
Logan.
was totally willing.
I'm less mad at you. I'm more mad at Chris.
All right, now it's all my fault
It is.
because I'm too based. Okay.
Go fuck yourself.
Anyway, Mashle's probably not worth your time, in my opinion.
Cream puffs.
Next up, Megami no Cafe Terrace. Tell us about the slop.
Supposedly, it's not slop. I've been hearing a lot of good things for some reason.
It's all good things. Juan was supposed to watch it with me, but that never happened.
I'm a busy man.
The first episode goes like really, really hard on the fan service. It's like full on slop in your face every 2 seconds,
Which I was okay with.
It was Juan's been okay with it, but it dialed back and actually became a like actual competent show.
That's good though.
Like the main character is not your dense, like 2-dimensional protagonist who doesn't do anything but like walk into like etchy scenes. He actually has, he's actually a chat that comes in and has like a personality and does things and helps saves the day. The girls are, they're more than just their tropes. They have actual depth to them, and we get all of their backstories behind them. The closest I can like compare this to is like probably quintuplet, but probably better quintuplet. But yeah, it goes in with the like where you think it's just like there's gonna be boobs every 2 seconds, and then it actually becomes like a really nice like endearing show about a guy trying to save his grandma's shop and her memories, and the girls help him, and then you learn more about the girls and their backstory. It's actually really heartwarming and cute at times. So definitely will keep up with this one in season 2, and hopefully Juan will be.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a season 2 coming out, so I'll try to catch up before season 2 comes out.
It got announced where we were at the wedding.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
All right,
next up.
Genuinely surprising.
Anyways.
I thought this was going to be way worse. Good for you guys. Next up, skip to Loafer. I'll go ahead and kick this one off. This is phenomenal. I'll just go ahead and say it right up at the bat. This is one of my favorite shows of the season. I think you could give a full summary of somebody about what happens in this show, and they would be like, damn, that sounds boring, because it really is just a bunch of high schoolers, living their lives and having relationships and talking and stuff. And yet it is some of the most compelling writing I have ever seen, in at least recently, in anime. This is a phenomenally written story. The characters are incredibly well done, incredibly nuanced. You get really in depth into kind of all of their insecurities, their ways of thinking, their motivations. It's very well spread out pretty much across the entire cast, all the way down to like side characters that we don't get as much screen time with. I think a great example of that is the student council vice president that ran for election and lost or whatever. I think the episode with her
She had a whole episode to her.
That's what I'm saying. I think the episode she got was excellent. So the show knows how to spend time on characters and really develop them. It looks great. It's a really well made show. I loved this to death. This was excellent.
Yeah, this one easy top 3 of the season for me.
Yeah, probably me as well,
because there's a lot of heavy hitters. Super phenomenal, grounded coming of age story, which is super. Coming of age stories these days are like super rare, so it's really nice to see that. You basically watch this like country girl, naive little country girl move to the big city and try to like live her youth to the fullest. And you go around and you see her like interact with everyone and see how everyone around her kind of shapes how she's grown up, all while you get to like see how she kind of influences and helps everyone around her grow at the same time. It's just like, I don't know. I know Japan's big on this like living your youth to the fullest and looking back on it and like reminiscing on your youth. Because I don't know, US, America, like school, I didn't really like have that feeling. But I know Japan's big on that, and this show really accompanies the whole like, growing up and living your life to the max, and then without the worries of like adulthood and all that nonsense. Mm-hmm. It's just you kind of like becoming your own person, discovering who you are and helping everyone else, discover who they are alongside with you. It's just a really, really nice series that you don't ever see.
Yeah. It's just so grounded and so realistic and nuanced. I love that about it. How about you, Juan?
I really wish this show came out when I was in high school.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Because like the being able to like see this, like, we're all nerds here. High school was a little hard to like figure out, but like this kind of like it really like not necessarily like, explains it, but like it like it like shows you like the nuances of like how like relationships are. I don't know how to like put it to words, but like this show just does like a really good job of like showing like high school dynamics, just how to socialize and like how to be like a better person in general.
Because that's
Like,
really at the core of it. The two main characters, Mitsumi and Sosuke Shima or whatever, are just great people. They're great people that like make the lives around them better, or like everyone's lives around them better. And I think a less well-written show would have had the red-haired girl set up as kind of a bully, and yet she ends up getting integrated as one of the core friends and developed a ton. And there's so many good little nuances about it. It really is. There aren't many characters that are mean-spirited. There's really only one towards the end, and even then she has her own traumas and reasons as why she's doing it and why she's
even mean-spirited. She's just like
manipulative.
I don't not say manipulative. She's just kind of manipulative, but she's more like doing it for his sake. So it's more like
I think she's jealous, but that's a different thing too.
No, I don't think so. Especially at the end when she's like in the taxi going home.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's just soon about. She doesn't know how to express her feeling about like she wants to be closer to him and stay with him, but she doesn't know how to like express it. So instead she like makes this excuse of like, oh, you like ruined my life to like kind of
lashing
guilt him.
out.
But it's never to like maliciously. It's because she like wants to spend more time with him.
Yeah. PA Works continues on their god streak of just like great fucking anime. I and now at this point, if I see PA Works doing a new show, I'm like, sign me up. This one's gonna be sick because I don't think they've missed in a while now.
Are they doing a show in
biggest
summer?
miss, probably.
I loved Aquatope. What do you mean?
I say biggest miss like relatively.
Sure. I still love that show.
I think compared to everything else they've done recently, PA Works, October was the worst one.
Are they doing anything in summer?
No, they don't have anything lined
They're taking
up.
off.
That's fine. Yeah,
Anyway, wait, I think this is all of ours, but Logan, who didn't watch it. One of our favorite anime this season. I can't really recommend it highly enough. It's basically the peak of this genre, which is, I would say, extremely overdone and tired. So, the fact that you can impress me, high school slice of life, yeah.
Well,
so
I would say more so the coming of age than high school slice of life.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're able to impress me with this kind of story, then that's nice. So good job. Okay. Oh, next up is also a good anime. Since Logan hasn't spoken in a while, since we were talking about romances, how about you talk about Heavenly Delusion?
So Heavenly Delusion is a really compelling, like, action kind of mystery thriller sci-fi thing. I think this turned out to be one of my favorites of the season. It is, for me personally, it's probably competing with Vinland Saga for my favorite thing of the season in general. I really liked it. I think it's got a really well-written cast of characters, and as far as kind of the post-apocalypse has been played out, I think this is a really kind of cool post-apocalypse. It's not that unique, but it feels like society has put itself together like just enough that it's interesting and not just like and everything's bad and there are like slavers and bandits everywhere or whatever. Certain revelations at the end about the nature of the two distinct plot lines. I do think the post-apocalypse stuff, for the record, is mostly better than the orphanage stuff. But the orphanage stuff that's where you get all the weirdest stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was compelling as well. So
I think the post-apocalyptic stuff was done well simply because they didn't spoon feed us, or they didn't tell us everything. They kind of just
still really haven't, even by the end of this season.
Yeah, and I'll get to that. And that's one of my complaints. Actually, they it's done well because they throw us in here. We don't know anything, just like the main characters, and we're kind of like learning along with them, like what kind of world we've been like tossed into. And I think that's how all like world building shows should be. Because I hate it when you sit down and like, let's monologue for like 10 minutes about
same.
It's not good. Production values were like peak, probably one of the best this season, which is that's a lot. So it's really hard to say if it's the best, but it's really, really good. So the post-apocalyptic, thrown into like so I was talking about like, we don't know much at the end, which is also one of my complaints, because like as much as I do love like shows that like leave us with a lot of questions about like what's going on, you kind of have to explain something to us at the end. and if by the end you have like more questions and you didn't answers, then like
This
why did we
show,
kind of watch it?
this show, I think more than most anime asks you, the viewer, to figure it out yourself in a lot of ways. And I will say, and I don't want to get into this because a lot of this is speculation, spoilers, which may or may not be confirmed based on how it plays out. But I have done a lot of thinking about what happened and what was presented since we finished this. And I think I have a better idea of what's going on than it seemed at the end of the show.
I don't think that's the intention
I
of
think
the
it is.
show.
I think it totally is.
I think that's what we're like forced to do at the end of it. But I don't think it was intentionally being like, oh, now like tell us everything, you know.
Mark and I had a pretty intense conversation in the DMs where we were linking some stuff and putting something together. And in retrospect, it made a scene that I didn't quite get the first time I watched it. With the added context towards the end, so much more impactful and one of my favorite scenes in anime of the entire year in retrospect.
I think you could connect the like the orphanage and like current scene kind of together and how they relate to each other if you like really did some prediction, but there's still a lot of things
there's a
in
lot
the
we don't
show
know.
that's with questions, and I think the show never really intended you to be like, oh, now you have all the like, you know, you have all the what's the word, you have like you're given all the resources to figure everything out. Now figure it out. I don't think it was ever like that.
No, because it's a manga and it's ongoing.
Yeah,
and they had to stop at a certain point. I really hope we get a season 2 for this one. I thought it was going to finish, and so I was caught very off guard by it being just like a part 1 situation.
So I wish they found a better place to end it. That's my main complaint. Is like it really didn't feel very conclusive at all.
It just was over. I was
there
like,
was a lot of questions about what's happened.
Or well, the orphanage plot ended on a good spot. I think the future plot did not. The future plot was just kind of done.
But we started with the future plot.
I know, and that one feels like the more grounded one. So it's like
and that feels like the more important one to focus on.
I definitely agree. I was not the absolute happiest with the end of their arc. I will say that was my least favorite part of the show. But aside, the rest of it, I thought was excellent. So
I think this could have been a top 3 if they like wrapped it up properly and handled it in a more conclusive manner. I don't know how they would do that, but it's just like it had a lot of potential. Is what I'm saying, and it kind of just like finned off into like nothingness.
I don't agree. I still think it's one of the best shows of the season.
It's one of the best season. It's like top 10. I want to say 5, but maybe it's not.
It's definitely top 5 of the season. It's probably top 10 of the year. Anyway,
Juan
hasn't talked about this yet. I want to hear what he says.
Yeah. So I'm not a smart man. It was hard for me to follow. I'd say it's like 80% of the show. But like I think by the end of it, like I finally like got like a grasp of like what's actually like going on. And also I got manga spoilers on TikTok. So like I have a really good idea of what's going on now, and I'm like, oh, this is actually really interesting. So I want to see a season 2, continuing the story. Like I want to see like where this goes, because this is definitely like a real thinking man show.
It is.
Yeah, they're very deliberate with how they drip feed.
I've talked to Juan a little bit about the spoilers that he knows. And once you know some of those stuff, it kind of really makes it easy to connect the dots of like what we just watched.
Yes.
But even then, there's still a lot of questions.
I still can't recommend this one enough. I think if you're gonna pick out like the highlights of this season, you definitely should be watching this show. It's unique. I haven't really seen much like it in anime, and the production values are just incredible as well.
It's unique and definitely worth going out of your way to watch. I just wouldn't call it a perfect show just because of.
I would have a big disclaimer that it doesn't end, and so if you're looking for something more conclusive, then either be ready to go read the manga after or don't watch it. So.
Yeah, and then this one is in Disney jail or / Hulu jail.
I forgot it was in Disney
jail. No, it's Hulu. It's fine.
I think it's out on Hulu, so you can watch it there.
It's been weekly on Hulu.
So you can do that or just.
But it's not on Crunchyroll or Netflix, like the two main ones.
It's never been Netflix jail. No, Disney jail. So.
Okay. Next up, second to last, I believe, is yet another sort of rom-com romance show called Yamada-kun to level 999 no koi wasuru. My love story with Yamada-kun.
This show was okay.
I thought it was cute.
The production,
it was better
the
than
production
okay.
really makes up for it, though.
Yeah.
I think.
It was, it was a fun, cute show. The pacing, I think, was a little bit slow for the show. Like, there was some episode that kind of felt like it was dragged on, but I think because of where they wanted to end it, they kind of had to pace it that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't run out of material. I appreciate the director doing certain like direction and homage to the show, like when she's drinking and she's drunk, there's like a bubble beer transition, which is a nice like touch. Or like when she's talking video game, she takes damage like she's in the video game. There's just like
there's a lot of really
like,
good little cute animation
really good
jokes.
Directorship, which I expect because the director is the Chiafuru, and he's good at like making small nuanced stuff like that. I also like how the main characters is like very genuine with herself. Like she's not like your normal like self-insert, generic protagon, or she's not like your like perfect guy or girl kind of thing. She's kind of like she is a hot mess, and she's very honest with herself, which is kind of refreshing to see in a romance show, and she's very likable because of that. I think it was a cute romance, for sure. I just wish we saw a little bit more of the dude and his perspective and his thoughts.
Yes, he's very
dude being
intentionally
Yamada?
closed off.
Yeah, Yamada.
Yeah, we don't get his
very
perspective
close.
until the very end of the show.
And he's a very stoic guy. We don't really see what he's thinking at all.
We have to make assumptions, yeah. I genuinely thought he was I think he is a little bit clueless for most of the show. It got to the point where I was like genuinely relieved at the very end when he admitted he had feelings. I was like, bro, I was still not sure if that was even going to go through.
I think he is clueless, but like I said earlier like how I liked how like the main girl wasn't like a perfect guy girl. Like Yamada feels like a quote unquote like perfect guy and girl where we don't really know anything about him other than he's like a pretty guy and he's like good at grades and he seems like the perfect dude. And I really wish we like knew more about him or like had him be more of a flawed character because it would have made him more.
Yeah, he's a little too. I agree. He's a little too perfect and like not quite as fleshed out. But that was fine. It still makes for a very cute little one core romance. If you like gamer related media, I think it shows the fun of having a WoW guild or whatever. So there you go.
I heard the best part is actually like right after when the manga ends, when they're actually a couple doing a couple things.
Well, there you go. Maybe you can go read it. But it was cute.
I will say the confession scene, 100% the smoothest confession I've ever seen.
Dude, he's a king. What a Chad. Very sweet.
Damn, you caught me. I'm like, fuck, you got me Doki Doki now.
You're like, oh, me a little bit. Whoa. All right. I think we're wrapping up on that one. And last,
saving the best for last.
We are talking about it. I hope you didn't think we were gonna skip the biggest show of the season. Logan, you finished it the most recently. Tell us about Oshi no Ko and your thoughts.
So Oshi no Ko is mostly really good, which makes the parts where it's kind of really bad kind of unbearable. And the parts I'm talking about specifically are this awful love triangle thing they've got going on between Kana and Aqua. And yes, it sucks. I hate it. It's so bad. But I'm not going to focus too hard on it because I think that everyone who isn't me doesn't hate it. So I don't know. Maybe that's just a me, Logan is a Blackheart thing. But the rest of the show is really good. It's got some very tightly written characters. I think pretty much everybody goes through some strong emotional arc going through it. There's a lot of real solid, like both emotional and production high spots on this thing. It is an extremely pretty show when it wants to be. I like the what's it called, the continuing motif of the like sparkling in the eyes thing that they've got going on. And obviously we talked about the first episode at length, but it's kind of hard to for what's it called, you kind of forget it now that we're like all the way down the show. But it also had like a really, really good feature length episode right at the beginning,
which should be praised.
Man, this show easily anime of the season for me. Like, I gave this show so much priority every time we had a chance to watch it. Like, everything about it is just so captivating. Like, episode 1, I've seen episode 1 3 times now. I've seen the quote unquote movie of a first episode 3 times. Like, that is how good it is. And every time I teared up at the, spoilers, death scene. Fuck, like, I knew it happens, and yet I still tear up because it's like the episode does like such a good job of like getting you attached to Ai. Like, fuck, damn. And then the also like episode 6, the whole that is easily gonna be like in contention for like episode of the year for me. Because like the whole
that was
sequence,
an incredible episode.
That's
the one where she's getting cyberbullied and
the Akane episode. Yeah.
Like and like how that's like actually like based on a real story, and I'm like, shit. Oh, this whole show is really good.
I think it's rare for anime to be potent social commentary. Like, it's not a genre where that happens. It happens sometimes. Like, they're anime. It's a big industry that makes a lot of statements about life in Japan in different ways. But I think this show works as like biting commentary, not just about Japanese media, but about like pop culture and media in general and how it affects teenagers that are in the limelight. That has been one of the highlights of it, I think. Akasaka, really, my goat, my king. Knows how to write some compelling fucking stories and characters. And like Juan said, it's so they hook you every time on each episode. There's always something. It just really keeps your interest and
the
captures
way they
your
use
attention.
The music, the ending hooks perfectly with like
they do it every time. It always gets you every single time. That's just a great ending too. So it like, with Queen Bee doing it, it's really what a great cast of characters. Everyone is good. I have not met a character I didn't like so far in this show. I think Aqua is a really interesting main character. He's all, twisted fucking psychopath or whatever. But even the part that Logan doesn't like, which I will agree is probably one of the weaker elements. I'm not even going to really complain about it because I don't think it's as bad as Logan does, but
it was like a 2-minute thing at the very end.
No,
2 minutes.
No, Logan's talking about just he doesn't like the fact that there is a love triangle in general.
Oh,
and
I think initially it was fine because it was treated very comedically. It's like when they were in the car, it was like fine. The only time it actually got kind of like intense was like at the end when they were doing the selfie. But like I do not have any worries about this becoming like a very drama romance heavy series. I'm pretty sure that's going to get brushed aside.
I think Kana has a better chance than Kana thinks she has, is the other thing too. But I
think
see.
Kana is the only one with a chance, which is further kind of frustrating me about the love triangle thing. Because Akane she doesn't even, I don't know, in those last few episodes, she didn't really seem like she cared all that much.
Well, I mean, we'll just have to see. I think that's the draw of the rest of season 2 and what will actually be happening there. So, because she kind of falls out of popularity in that part because she's not and she's not in the idol group, so she's not as involved.
No, they're both really involved in the next arc.
Oh, I know. The next arc's about her. I know. It's the drama thing. So,
well, no, because it's the play thing. And
that's what I meant. The play production. Yeah. Also, there's like
no,
a mystery.
You were right. It's the drama thing.
This show is a mystery at its core, and it's able to like have that undercurrent the entire time that we're getting all of this character drama stuff too. It's it's pretty much a masterwork, and that is coming from me, who I think was the most skeptical of this premise at the beginning. Like, I still think the premise is a little stupid, but God, we have executed on it, and so we're there. You know, this show I think deserves the hype, it deserves the praise. Pretty much, like I have said this multiple times, but I think that's just because this season was so strong. Obviously, another anime of the year contender as well. This is pretty peak.
Did season 2 get an announcement yet or no?
It did.
It did, but it's going to be next. It's going to be next year. It's not going to be this year.
It has no dates.
Yeah.
No date. Okay.
But almost certainly not.
But
fall.
it is like in production.
Yeah.
But, okay. Because like if it wasn't in production yet, then like I was really tempted to read the manga.
I may still go read the manga.
I think like the anime like does a good job of like, you know, producing it. So, like I think I might wait for it.
The manga is kind of on fire right now. I would not go looking anything up right now.
Okay.
Just
even still.
But yeah, if you're an anime fan, fucking watch this show because I mean
you're probably already watching it. But if you're not, if you
it's a classic in the making.
All right.
It's a big deal. It's one of those shows. If you think maybe it's too overhyped or doesn't like look like it lives up to it
deserves the hype for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch Kaguya too while you're at it. They're completely different. They're really. That's one of the other things I'm so impressed with. This is not the same kind of story as Kaguya. He is showing some serious range in his writing jobs. So
yeah, the same author.
Impressed. Okay, and that's it. We have done it. We have gotten through the spring season. What a season! Very, very stacked. Very top.
I think
heavy.
like a lot of high highs and then like a lot of low lows in the season.
That's how it always is, though.
I think this one more than usual.
This one's top heavy. All right, I think we should go through and talk about our 3 faves. I think that we like to do. Let's go through. Yeah. Juan, you got it.
My number 3, I would say Houkago no Insomnia. Like that it really hooked me on that romance. It was so good. Number 2, I'd say Vinland Saga Season 2, Farmland Saga Peak. And number 1, obviously, how much I praised it, Oshi no Ko. Like, God, that show's fucking awesome.
Wow, these are all gonna be the same. Only so that I cannot say the exact same 3 anime as Juan, I'm gonna sub out Skip to Loafer for Insomniacs as my number 3.
I think Skip to Loafer is probably my number 4.
They are basically tied in my mind right now. I haven't really tried to put one over the other since they're both quite good, but it's just, I loved it so much. And then my other 2 in the same order are also Vinland Saga and Oshi no Ko. Big surprise. I don't know why we're doing this. I feel like we're all going to say the same thing.
Logan's going to say
Logan will be different. Be different, Logan. Break the mold.
Different for sure. All right, I'll break the mold by starting with Oshi no Ko at number 3, because coming in at number 2 is Tengoku Daimakyou, and at number 1 is Vinland Saga.
I was really hoping you'd say number 1 is Mashle.
Dude, imagine.
I secretly watched it without you, and it was super cool.
It got so good at the end, actually. All right, Tim, wrap us up.
This is subject to change, you want to, but for now, I'm gonna do. Fuck.
It's hard.
Okay, I'm gonna do 3 Vinland, 2 Skip to Loafer, 1 Oshi.
Yeah, good list.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I really want to put Tengoku on there too. It's tough. I don't know. There's a lot of great anime this season. There's a lot of really good romance anime and like slice of lives. I don't know why there's like more good ones of those this season than I think there were like all of last year. So if you're a romance shoujo fan or whatever, you're eating good. But yeah, this was a great season. Thanks for watching with us. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you got some good recommendations. The next episode after this will be our summer mid-season check-in, where we will go over our reactions to the first couple of episodes of all the new summer shows, see how we're doing, see how we are liking those.
There's a lot of good shows next season too. Shit.
Yeah, so we'll see how we're doing then. But until then, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
Later.
Cream puffs.